Hello everyone, my name is James and I am the co-editor of the journal Ludic Language Pedagogy. This presentation is a detailed exploration and explanation of what we mean by Ludic language pedagogy, a new field of inquiry concerned with the rigorous pedagogical implementation of games and play in language and literacy teaching contexts. This is the overview of the presentation. As an overview of the topics covered, I start by introducing what we mean by game, differentiating game from non-game or game-like systems. Following, I will introduce the term digital game-based language teaching and provide concrete examples. Following that will be gamification with concrete examples before we look at issues surrounding GBLL and DGBLL. Following that, we'll define LLP and give concrete examples here too. I will introduce my own example of LLP in action, and then finally look at things that are not so fun about LLP and things that are really fun about doing LLP. Finally, there will be some advice for teachers that are interested in doing LLP in their own contexts. So first of all, let's define game. There are many game definitions that one may refer to. I'm particularly fond of this one by Suits, which says that to play a game is to engage in an activity directed towards bringing about a specific state of affairs, using only means permitted by rules, where the rules prohibit more efficient in favour of less efficient means, and where such rules are accepted just because they make possible such activity. An example of a game which is very easy to understand based on this definition is golf. Golf is a game where we are trying to bring about a specific state of affairs, in this case, getting the ball into the hole. And we're only allowed to use means permitted by the rules. The means of playing golf is to use a long metal stick to hit the ball. We are not allowed, the rules do not allow, the means of picking the ball up and taking it and dropping it into the hole. So this is a less efficient means. Hitting the ball with a long stick is perhaps a less efficient means than carrying the ball in a car. And we accept these rules because they make the activity of golf possible. So in summary, we have rules, you must not, means, by the use of a golf club, the goal, score more than any other player, or in the terms of golf, score less points, take less hits than any other player, and the voluntary act of doing this. We do it just for playing, just for the fun of playing. Another example of game definition is by Salen and Zimmerman, which is very broad, and it is: a game is a system in which players engage in an artificial conflict defined by rules that results in a quantifiable outcome. So looking at the game definition, we can see that we have certain elements of a game certain elements are salient in both definitions. Rules means goal, voluntary, artificial rules, and some kind of outcome. So there's a goal. So what kind of games exist in the world? First we have this, which is a hopscotch. This is a simple game. We throw a stone, we land, we jump on the numbers, and there is a quantifiable outcome. This is also a game. This is a roll and move game, which some of you may have used in school in general. The L2 is an inefficient means here to get in the goal of passing the course. So we have to use the second language to get to the end before the other players. Among Us is a game that exists on mobile, which we can play with lots of different people, and the goal is to either find the imposter or not to be found if you are the imposter. This is another modern game. I believe this is Apex Legends. Yep. Here we have Apex Legends, which is a multiplayer game. We play online. So as you can see, there are various levels of complexity in terms of games. We have a simple game up to a more complex and computer mediated game. Life is Strange is a narrative game which is very popular in literacy classes. This is the game League of Legends, where we have 5 players against 5 players, and if we look back at the Salen and Zimmerman and the Suits definition of game, we had that it was for fun and an artificial conflict. Well, esports kind of sits on the edge of this, where we have players playing for real prize money. So is it just for fun, or is it for a career? If it is for a career, does that make the person a game player, or are they working? There's a lot of ambiguity when it comes to esports and the definition of game. But the game itself, of course, you can play for fun. So the special situation there being esports players, are they actually playing a game, or are they working? It's an interesting conundrum. And finally, something that appears, well, not finally, but in terms of digital games, this is my final example, and this is the game World of Warcraft, which appears a lot in the literature on language learning and gameplay, because there are all sorts of cognitive, affective, and social affordances of these kinds of multiplayer worlds. We'll get into this later. This is a kind of game called a LARP, which is live action roleplay. So you may have heard of Dungeons and Dragons, which uses dice and a board and a game master and fantasy themes. Well, we can do a LARP, which is a live action version where players take on the role of a specific character and act out in real life their character. This is taken from the LARP series, which is on YouTube, which I highly recommend. So in summary then, we have some game types here, being playground games, ESL games, social or mobile games, console games, MMOs, and LARPs. And just to throw a spanner in the works, we can think, well, is school a game? Because there is a quantifiable outcome. You are trying to perform better than other students. The rules are clear. You must do so-and-so. For example, in a language class, you must use the second language in order to get a grade, in order to pass the class. So again, the second language is the inefficient means which one has to use in order to gain the quantifiable outcome of the ABC rank. So school could be considered a game in that way. Life, maybe some of you are familiar with the subreddit r/outside. People have gestured that maybe life itself is a game, and I'm not going to go down there, but yes, of course, we can look into that another time. In this video then, we have introduced what games are. In the next video, I'm going to look at digital game-based language learning and introduce some of the research that has been done on games in language learning contexts.